So Zakariah has a nickname, it's Rooster, because he has a double crown on the back of his head, so his hair, no matter how long or short, always sticks up. So we've been calling him Rooster since he was just a little guy.
Somebody mentions Rooster and it just automatically, a smile comes to my face. I love that kid. So we came to know Zakariah here on pediatrics over several admissions actually.
We decided to take him to the ER. His stomach was sore and all the pain went from his stomach into his right lower side. As soon as they checked his urine, it was very clear that he had a UTI.
A urinary tract infection is when bacteria crawl up into the bladder and start causing symptoms.
He was on the IV antibiotics for a day and a half and responded very well. So he was released and sent home with an oral antibiotic to take for 5 days. 3 days after he finished his oral antibiotic, he woke up. He was just crying and he's like, "Mommy, I hurt so bad."
The bacteria that was creating his urinary tract infection was one of the more resistant bacteria.
It was completely resistant to oral antibiotics. They were like, "You're gonna have to do a bunch of blood work and start the IV again." And it's 10 days of IV antibiotics and my heart just sunk.
The IV antibiotics that are required, there can be some harm on the veins. They can be a bit sore when they're infusing. And so with Zach, he was going through IV sites fairly quickly because his IVs would blow, as we say, or go interstitial, and then he'd require them to more pokes to have them restarted.
In that 12-day hospital stay, he had 7 or 8 different IVs. He was pretty much freaking out about all the IV changes.
He would cry and scream and kick.
It had to be done, and yeah, it sucked. So at the end of the 10-day treatment, we brought him home. It was December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. And he was like, "Mommy, I don't feel well."
On the last admission, it was quite bad this time. With this situation, they can be on antibiotics for 3 to 6 weeks. So the first week to 10 days were really rough with all of these IV pokes all the time.
He started getting a little quieter and quieter and quieter, and it was harder to get him engaged in different activities that we were trying to use to pass the time.
And to be stuck in a hospital room for that time, not being allowed to go anywhere, it can really change their whole dynamic emotionally, physically, and not just the child, but the family.
Our oldest boy, he has autism and ADHD, sensory issues. Going to the hospital for him was extremely hard because it just really upset him. He was already really upset because home had changed, because Zach wasn't here. I kind of felt like I had to choose between staying at the hospital with Zach, who needed me, and being home with Jacob, who also needed me.
We had to try and figure out something to do and make it easier for everybody. We got in touch with some other Fraser Health staff who work in the IV therapy, and we talked to our pediatricians here at Langley, and we made arrangements to have a special IV put in, which is called an extended dwell peripheral IV. It's a little bit longer, but it lasts up to 30 days.
With the midline, I could be home with Jacob and still be able to help Zach at the hospital when we had to go back for treatment.
This extended dwell IV that he got allowed him the freedom to be able to leave the hospital for hours at a time.
And I remember that first day that we brought him home, we walked into the house with him and Jacob was here and he hugged Zakariah and he was like, "It's okay now, Mom, it's all good."
And we worked with the parents too with the times of the antibiotics so that she was able to get her other kids to school in the morning, bring him in to have his medication.
Once he woke up, he was like, "Hey, let's go," because he knew he'd be able to come home and hang at the house with the kids and play video games and build with Lego and just be a regular kid.
After all of the other kids had been settled to bed at home, he would come back, get his antibiotic here, and settle in bed here.
With this midline, he wouldn't have to go through all the pokes.
It was a win-win situation for everybody.
His happy little self came back.
And he would come out of his room and him and his IV pole, and away they went, walking around the unit. He befriended every single staff member here.
Yeah, he brought a lot of life to the unit, a lot of 6-year-old jokes that the nurses never seem to get tired of. So today, Zach is doing amazingly well. He learned to ride his bike since being home from the hospital.
I'd said to him one of the days just before he left, you know, as much as I love you, I don't want to see you back here. And he has come back and visited since, and it's been an absolute joy to see him like just be able to come on the unit and run into your arms, say hello, and then go, okay, I'm going now.
He has a very strong bond with them. Langley Memorial Hospital is kind of like an extension of our family. This is a whole team of people that worked together to help get him well.
I love it when we can pull together as a unit and help our families and patients get through sort of some really rough times in their life and try and make it just a little bit easier for them. We are one here in this small little hospital, and we try and do the very best we can for everybody that comes through here. So I love that.
The care we got there was great.
This would have really hurt even more if we had to go into Vancouver. If we can do a little more closer to home, it's definitely a lot easier for families, for sure.
Yeah, let's do what we can do to support this in our community.
So the needs here at Langley Memorial are quite large this year just because the community is growing so much. It's not just new equipment, it's replacing items that have been here for years and are old in today's standards that we're struggling to make work still. We are asking you to give generously to help support the purchase of advanced care equipment so that we can provide exceptional care to all members of our community.
Langley Memorial Hospital Foundation needs your support. Please give and help others like Zakariah.
And thank you for supporting healthcare in our community.